All right, Tara, thank you so much. You know, it's become a hot topic as more CBD products are manufactured and distributed.
Cannabidiol is an active ingredient in cannabis derived from the hemp plant, and it may help to treat conditions like pain, insomnia, anxiety.
But there's a lot of conflicting information out there. So we brought in an expert. Regina Bauscher from Honey Sweetie Acres is here with a look at the industry and the products. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
A topic that's very hot right now. And I wanted to start by saying we first met you when we came out to do goat yoga.
Yes.
But I want you to give folks a history of your background, because you're a chemist. You do more than make goat soap. Yeah. Goat milk soap. Tell us about your background first and why we can trust you with this information.
Okay. Back in college, I worked in the refinery laboratories in Catlettsburg, Kentucky, and tested jet fuel refinery distillates, crude oil, this type of thing, because I was in college for chemistry. And then I did that for about, as an intern all through college, and then afterwards for about a year I stayed there. And then I moved to Dayton and worked in an environmental laboratory where we tested products for heavy metal contents, food, liquids, and I ran a program where we tested blood for lead levels.
Okay.
All right. So then I took about a dozen years off to raise my children and came back to Cincinnati and went to work for a Fortune 500 chemical company as part of their investor relations team. And many of the companies that we worked with were in the specialty ingredients realm, and most of those were cosmetic companies. So I was making products for my family because my husband had a skin condition and dermatologists weren't able to help him. So I took a limited ingredient view and made things for us and basically cleared his skin condition. And we thought, well, this would be a fun little retirement gig, make a few products, put them out there. Well, it kind of took on a life of its own, and so we're a full-fledged business now, and I resigned my position about 3 years ago, and we've been doing this full-time ever since.
Yeah.
All right. I guess one of the basic questions is, let's talk about the what is CBD oil and what it's derived from. It's not the psychoactive part of the plant, right?
And that's where there's a lot of confusion. Whenever a lot of information comes out, there's always the potential for disinformation. So in the case of hemp and CBD, hemp is a completely different plant than marijuana, right? Hemp has very high levels of CBD and very low levels of THC, which is tetrahydrocannabinol. That is the psychotropic compound found in marijuana. Marijuana contains anywhere from 5 to 35% THC. And is very, very low in CBD.
Oh, interesting.
But they are not the same thing. They're complete polar opposites.
I didn't know they were two separate plants.
They are two separate plants, but they're both from the species Cannabis sativa. Now, marijuana is also from Cannabis indica, and there's another strain as well. So
they all come from the same root plant, if
same
you will.
root plant, but different species.
Okay.
So even the shape of the leaf can be different. A hemp plant tends to be taller than a marijuana plant, and in some species the leaf is pointed versus being rounded. So there are distinctive differences.
Now, I think a lot of people who are watching are wondering, is it legal? Does the FDA regulate it? Is it okay that I'm using this? Can I take it on an airplane? You know, I mean, all of those kinds of things.
What people need to realize, first of all, is that CBD is a dietary supplement, and the FDA does not regulate dietary supplements. They regulate drugs, vaccines, medical devices, food, these types of things, but it does not regulate a dietary supplement. But that being said, they do have oversight into whether a medicinal claim is being made, a pharmaceutical claim. All right, so that's not allowed, and the FDA will submit a warning letter if they find that on a product. But they don't look into, how much CBD is in here, or if the product is even what it says it is. They don't regulate it.
We need to be careful when we're looking for these products. What should we look for if we're thinking of buying a CBD product that would say, this is probably a good product versus shouldn't buy some random thing off the internet?
So some consumer guidelines, let's call it. All right, first of all, what you're going to want to look at is, are you comparing apples to apples? So every bottle should have a milligram per mil, how much CBD is actually in the bottle. So be sure you're comparing a 500 milligram to a 500 milligram, not a 25 to a 500. All right, so that's number one. But that also needs to be on the label. If it's not on the label, still steer clear. Okay. Number two is the amount of CBD in the oil should be accompanied by a certificate of analysis. All right, so any provider, any seller should be able to give their customer a certificate of analysis that shows that it has been tested and this is the amount of CBD that is actually in the bottle. Okay. Now, on websites that you find them, you'll find the product. There should be a link to that certificate of analysis so that people can read it. You don't necessarily have to have a degree in chemistry to read one of these, but the fact that it is present is showing that the company is being transparent in what's in the bottle. Not only that, the certificate of analysis should be tied to a lot code. You know, every batch should have a lot number or a batch number. So the certificate of analysis should match that number. Okay, so they know that it is for that bottle that they have on their counter. All right.
I wish we had a whole lot more time to discuss this. I think a lot of people have more questions, so I'm going to leave you just with one more question. And I know you can't make medical claims, like you said, that can still be regulated. But what, in your experience, do you know people use CBD oil for?
Okay. We'll make one very interesting point. The U.S. government has held the patent on CBD since 1998 for antioxidant and neuroprotective benefits.
Interesting.
All right, so it's been out there a long time, but it's really making its way in now. It's being regarded as a strong antioxidant, ability to help with pain, neuroprotective benefits. There's studies, epilepsy, anxiety, pain, so it's perhaps a modality for people who are trying to relieve pain and don't want to take opioids. So there's a tremendous amount of research coming out now. UC Davis is actually building a facility to research hemp and CBD and what this product can do for people. So it's a modality for people to try, but let the buyer beware and be sure and ask your questions and make sure there are no pharmaceutical claims on the label, because that's kind of a hint, that's a red flag to you that this company doesn't know what they're doing.
Exactly.
Gosh, we could spend an hour with you, but we did want to also mention that Honey Sweetie Acres, they're hosting an opportunity to learn about CBD, and I think you'll get to play with some goats too. It's called Goattoberfest. Goattoberfest. It's October 26th. You can go to local12.com and click on the Get It Now links, and we'll link you to their site at Honey Sweetie Acres to find out more information. It's just a great place to go out as well.
Thank you all.
There's a lot to know. There's a lot to learn on this.
There's a lot,
and they have their products too that you can check out.
All right, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Regina.
All right, Casper,